"Your wife is mine now," he said, slow and deliberate, savoring each syllable like it fed him. His boot pressed down hard on my chest, grinding into bone, like I was less than air beneath him. Blood filled my mouth, and the sharp grit of gravel bit into my teeth. His eyes, cold and gleaming, never looked away from mine. "Listen, Cuckold," he sneered, dragging the word like a rusted blade. "If your life means anything to you, you'll accept what's happened. Stay out of my way. Your wife is mine. Now, and I like it that way." His men laughed behind him, sharp, mocking sounds that echoed around us. But I didn't laugh. I couldn't, not because of the pain or the humiliation, but because in that moment, I wasn't thinking about them at all. I was thinking about her, about how quiet it had become between us, how she'd stopped humming in the kitchen like she used to, how she started turning her phone screen away from me, like it carried something toxic, how she told me not to wait. Up, her voice casual, rehearsed. I wasn't broken by the betrayal itself. It was her eyes when I caught her eyes that held no guilt, no fear, just cold, detached indifference. She used to say I was her safest place, that no matter how loud or cruel the world became, I was peace, and I believed her. I worked double shifts to keep that peace alive, missed birthdays, lived with backaches and overdraft fees, pushed through storms and torn up roads to fix generators in dark towns, just so she could paint in warm studios and sip wine with men like him. He owned a marketing firm with his father's name carved into polished marble. Walls, champagne in the boardroom, private security at the doors. She called him generous. He called her undiscovered. I called him what he was, a parasite. She laughed, said I was insecure. But I wasn't. I was right. The distance didn't come all at once. It crept in like fog, a missed call, a half-cooked dinner gone cold. Her lipstick stopped showing up on coffee mugs. She started wearing heels again, the ones she always said she couldn't walk in around me. I picked her up from a weekend work trip once, and she smelled like a cologne I didn't wear. She didn't even bother lying well anymore. I didn't say anything. Some betrayals don't need a confrontation. They need silence. The kind long enough to hear yourself fracture. The night she told me it was over, there were no tears. She stood in the doorway, distant and firm, and said she didn't want this life anymore. I asked what life, exactly. She didn't answer. Just packed up the necklace I gave her on our first anniversary, dropped it into her purse like a receipt she meant to throw away. He pulled up in a black Mercedes, leaned on the horn. She left without looking back, but I looked at him, and I smiled, because that was the last time he would ever feel untouchable. I didn't scream. I didn't throw punches. I studied. I dug into his world like a man digging a grave. His company was rotten shell accounts, tax fraud, donor money funneled into illegal ventures and polished up with glossy press releases. It took 3 months to build the case, 2 more to find the right person to leak it to. He thought he'd won, toasted his engagement to her with imported champagne, wearing a suit I once paid for with missed meals and scraped knuckles. She wore a dress I bought years ago when I still believed in anniversaries. They smiled for cameras, for boardrooms, for friends. But when the IRS came knocking, no smile could hold. Every account frozen, every donor gone, every dirty little secret spilled out under harsh fluorescent lights in cold offices. He knew my name. He just couldn't say it without choking on it. She left him the night the indictments hit. Turns out it wasn't him she loved, it was the lifestyle. Turns out the safest place she ever knew was still me. But I wasn't a place anymore. I was a reckoning. She called me last week. Her voice was quieter than I remembered. She said she missed the peace, the truth, said she made a mistake, that she didn't see it until it was gone. I didn't answer. Some ghosts deserve the silence they helped build. As for him, he tried to fight back. Lawsuits, threats, desperate flailing in a world he no longer controlled. But when you've already been kicked to the ground, you learn not to fear falling. You learn how to rise. I stood in court in a clean shirt, hands steady, story straight. He stood in handcuffs, flanked by lawyers who couldn't spin his way out. He looked at me like he still couldn't believe it, like he thought the man he stomped on would never rise again. But I had, not to fight, to bury. They say revenge doesn't heal. Maybe not, But it remembers every insult, every laugh, every time they spoke your name like it was beneath their breath. And when you rise not loud, not violent, but smarter, colder, sharper, it ensures they remember too. She used to say I was too quiet. Now that silence is all she hears. And as for him, he once said my wife was his. Now everything he thought, he owned answers to me. I didn't just accept the challenge, I ended the game.